there guys, Skippy here for Skippy 6 Gaming, coming to you from a totally random world. I have no idea what it is. It's totally random. We are going to be excited because the new update complete out now for Bedrock, not the beta, but the full-on Bedrock 1.2.13, the biggest, hugest changelog in the history of the world. So we are going to go over the entire changelog, or most of it, guys. I'm going to skip some parts of it. We are going to do it a little different. Super stoked. So many bug fixes, so many changes. So for this one here, guys, let's go for 379 likes if you are one of those dudes. We always love to hear from you in the comments. And we got Carlos, Philip, Andrew, newest members of Squad 6 Fire. So let's do this. We're gonna actually just jump over to the whole actual browser and just scroll through, because I can't do a million screenshots. So again, if you just want to read the article for yourself, there is a link in the description below, and read it for yourself. And if not, you want to hear my sweet soothing voice tell you the bug fixes, then go for it. And here we are, guys. We are gonna do it this way totally because it is so huge. I'm gonna not go word for word. We're gonna go over the main stuff, and of course there is a link to this in the description below should you desire to just read it over yourself. So new features, we got realms can now create automatic backups, which can be downloaded and restored. Added 2 new options, swap AB and XY buttons, which can be found in controller settings. Added menu screen transitions, which can be toggled in settings. So let's keep going. Full on actual changes. Many screens and actions now respond when a button is pressed instead of released, so they feel more responsive. Paletted chunks. This means we can now have almost infinite different types of blocks, and also no more block IDs. It means the game should less likely crash due to running out of memory. Falling on hay bales now reduces fall damage. Own skin packs will now appear at the top of the skin picker. Purchase content will now auto-update, which can be toggled in profile settings. Realms members list can now be cleared from the member screen. Updated look for the marketplace and search functionality to easily specific content. So experimental gameplay as we go down here, guys, from the Bedrock beta. Basically, this is the key thing, is you're gonna have to click on this thing for experimental gameplay. What will happen is it'll copy your world and give you all of this stuff. So if you weren't in the beta before and now you want to try the Aquatic update stuff, this is the guys right here. Just go over drown mobs, channeling, loyalty, riptide, impaling for the new trident, stripped wood, slabs, stairs, prismarine, new swimming animation. So let's go over the bug fixes, guys. Again, I'm not going to take a million years. We're going to be pretty quick. Many optimizations to chunk rendering and game performance. Chunk generation is now prioritized first to the chunks closest to the player. Fixed a crash that occurred on Android devices due to rendering issues. Fixed a crash that occurred when creating multiple worlds of relics of the privateers. Yeah, that's a pretty big one. I think that's like the most expensive DLC in the market. So let's just do it. These are all fixed crashes. So losing internet connection, they fixed. Written book contained in an item frame, entering and leaving the marketplace quickly, leaves their world and another player is looking in a chest, double chest is split using pistons and items, D-pad mouse simultaneously, issues with redstone torches, store on low end and mid tier devices, fix a crash when leaving the end. Pretty simple. So these ones are good. General, the game is once again playable on Windows 10 mobile when using an Xbox One controller. Viewing the presence of a player profile will now be accurate when playing split screen. Custom skins with uppercase.png extensions are now recognized in Windows 10. The achievement screen will now show the most recent status without having to close and reopen the game. Fixed local co-op not properly giving you saving player progress. Disabled visible to LAN players for one world, no longer disables it for all worlds. Imported worlds will no longer automatically launch to iOS on iOS. Okay. Crops can once again be harvested continuously. Crops will now pop out of the ground if the light level is 7 or lower. Fixed villager trade items not being replenished. Fixed some villager trades not granting XP. Fixed spawn points not moving when obstructed by lava. It is now possible to sleep when a skeleton horse is nearby. Bows will now inflict the same amount of damage to players and mobs. Eyes of Ender and /locate will now point to the right location of a stronghold. Hey, that's a bonus. For Book and Quill, the sign and close button is no longer active if a name has not been entered. Double Ferns now appear in Mega Taigas. Protection enchantment no longer makes players immune to fire damage. Activating Sneak in one world and and quitting no longer causes the players to spawn sneaking in every other world. Holy cow, that's crazy. Pressing open chat together with place block no longer causes place block action to repeat. Fixed fire spread from covered lava. Let's keep going here. Fixed pick block replacing currently selected hotbar slot even if other slots were empty. Exploding creepers and beds in the nether can no longer ignite TNT in worlds that have TNT explodes off. The second player in split screen can no longer die if their personal game mode is set to creative. Experience can now be earned from cooking pork chops in a furnace. Thank gosh. Players are no longer set on fire when walking on non-full blocks placed next to the lava source. Player fixed faces on maps so they no longer turn into arrows when they move too far from the other players, but will turn into arrows when close to the other players. Fixed creative flight speed being too slow until changing altitude after entering a world. Falling on a slime block while sneaking now inflicts fall damage. That's pretty crazy because a lot of people are going to have they've been using that. So fixed items losing durability when used on other players in the PvP game rule disabled. Enchanted apples can once again be found in loot chests. Name tags can once again be found from villager trading and fishing. Diamonds will now appear in the loot chests of jungle temples and strongholds. Map items in converted Xbox worlds will now have the proper alignment. The starting maps for old worlds are now zoomed in 1/4. Maps will no longer show a green marker, only for the last map that was placed in an item frame. Glass bottles can now be filled from water sources in creative mode. Pickaxes now break stone buttons faster than hands. Bows can no longer be used to mine while charging. Interesting. Guys, holy cow, changelog. This is nothing. We're not even anywhere near there. I don't know how long this is, but we're going to get through it. Extra blocks will no longer be placed when placing a block straight down. Glass panes will now align to stairs. Increase the hitbox of soul sand. Grass blocks will now turn into dirt if grass path blocks are placed above them. Vines can no longer be placed invisibly under leaf blocks. Leaves can no longer cut through blocks when growing trees using bone meal. Anvil now drops as items when falling on torches. Stone slabs and cobblestone walls now have proper blast resistance. Top snow falling on top snow block no longer loses 1 layer. Breaking cobblestone that is pushed by a piston no longer drops an invalid update block. Redstone. Oh, let's check this out. Automated chicken cookers using slabs will now function properly. That is awesome. Fixed redstone not powering horizontal adjacent blocks. Hoppers and droppers can now put music discs inside jukeboxes. Minecart with hopper and TNT will no longer shake on activator rails. Rename shulker box is no longer lose their names when fired from a dispenser. Daylight sensors can no longer generate power in the nether. Undyed shulker boxes can no longer be placed inside of other shulker boxes using hoppers and droppers. Mobs and minecarts no longer activate rails next to them as long as they try to walk. Observers no longer visually cut redstone dust. Rails will now take block power into account when attaching to other rails. That's pretty interesting. Dispensers, droppers, and redstone lamps will now activate properly when redstone dust is placed on top of them. Trap chests with slabs or stairs above no longer power redstone dust adjacent to the block below when the chest is open. Glazed terracotta can no longer be pulled using slime blocks and sticky pistons. Minecarts no longer get stuck when passed through blocks on diagonal rails. Armor can now be equipped to an armor stand using a dispenser. That's cool. The power output of redstone contraptions is no longer lost after a world is converted from Xbox One Edition. Okay, mobs. Woo-wee, we're getting there. Baby chickens no longer get stuck in the corners of fences. Increase the spawn rate of slimes. Thank God there's like no slimes. Fixed mob shaking while in minecarts. Horses can no longer be steered into deep water. Llamas now form a caravan when following llamas on a lead instead of acting silly and running around in circles. Llamas can now be healed by feeding them hay bales and wheat. Mobs no longer view closed doors as valid pass and shouldn't get stuck when trying to walk through them. Mobs can no longer spawn on carpet. That is really good. Super cool. Mobs can once again spawn when the player is below a height of 30 blocks. Mobs will once again spawn when a player is below a height of 30 blocks. So down near Bedrock is bad. Mobs will once again not spawn on transparent blocks. Rabbits will now follow players that are holding carrots and flowers in survival. Elder Guardian and zombie villager spawn eggs can now be obtained with pick block. In creative, smaller mobs can no longer trample farmland and crops. Fixed medium slimes not dealing damage to player. Endermites will no longer suffocate when riding in minecarts and boats that are not on rails or in water. Fixed villager behavior when it's raining, so they now disperse to separate houses. The wither will now face the right direction when attacking. Pigs being steered using carrot on a stick will no longer jump up slab staircases and simply walk up them. Fixed flowers disappearing after being generated with bone meal. Mob spawners will now stop spawning when there are 6 or more active mobs in the vicinity. So I think it used to be 8, so they actually lowered that. Zombies and skeletons now burn during daytime in warm biomes when it's raining in other biomes. Fixed witches not spawning in witch huts. Wolves will no longer run from llamas if they are out of sight. Increase the spawn rate of gas in the nether. Oh no. Increase the spawn rate of ocelots. Spider no longer give up so easily when attacking, do they? There you go. Parrots will now properly dismount when the player riding dies. Oh, that's nice. Parrots riding on a player's shoulder will no longer hinder block placement. Parrots will no longer leave player shoulders when in a boat. Villagers will now breed on old Xbox worlds. Overworld mobs no longer spawn in the nether from converted worlds. Iron golems no longer turn hostile towards the player that spawned them. Iron golems will no longer spawn when mob spawning is disabled. Whoo-wee, we're getting there. Crafting. Enchanted golden apples can no longer be crafted because there was a glitch that allowed it to stay in there. You could just do regular. Various improvements on selecting items on the recipe book touchscreen. Crafting items that use ingredients in the hotbar no longer causes the hotbar to get shuffled when using a controller. Mossy stone bricks can no longer be crafted from themselves and no longer results in the loss of blocks. Fixed Mojang logo banners not being craftable on converted worlds. I did one of those in the 6 tips. Bucket, water bucket, lava bucket, and milk have been moved to the items inventory tab. I always wondered why they were in the weapons. I'm pretty sure they were. Exploits. Okay, so players can no longer attack others with bows when friendly fire is disabled. Minecart with hopper can no longer duplicate items. I know about that. We can find a new one, don't worry. Items can no longer be duplicated using item frames and hoppers. Any item held by a player that is killed by Thorn's armor will no longer be duplicated. They didn't patch them all. Don't worry, the chest glitch still works. Rails can no longer be duplicated when pulled by 2 pistons simultaneously. Breaking a cauldron, furnace, banner, beacon with all that silk touch stuff doesn't get you more anymore. Breaking an ender chest with silk touch will no longer drop obsidian. Items can no longer be duplicated using item frames and hoppers. They already put that up there. Look, they want to double it up. They did it up there twice. Switching between bows while aiming no longer transfers durability. Players can no longer attack through walls in third person. Killing an animal attached to a fence with a lead no longer duplicates the lead. Realms permissions are no longer reset to default when a player enters the realm. Operator status will now show properly and reflect the in-game permission. Fixed a soft lock that occurred when attempting to replace a world and the connections was lost. Fixed an issue that sometimes prevented realms from being renewed. Yeah, I know about that one. So graphical, you know what we're gonna do? Well, this is way too long. These are all just graphical changes. You can pause it and read it, or you could go to the article, but as you can see right here, just pause it and scroll down. But we're gonna try to slip through. We'll go down to user interface, and we'll probably, let's just do user interface and we'll leave it at that. Holy cow, it's so long. Text can now be properly copied and pasted in text fields when using a keyboard. Fixed signs with formatting SS not being able to create new lines. Fixed a rare issue when pressing an A key on the virtual keyboard. And all other text. Reassigning the toggle perspective. You know what? I don't think we're going to go through this. There's so much stuff. If you want to, like I said, I'm just going to scroll through this nice and slow. You just pause it and read it. It's all going to be there. Again, the article is in the description. There's just way too much stuff, guys. I need to keep this video like not a million years long. So Let's just do the last command. Clone banners no longer appear in blank black banners. The phasing component of teleport is no longer executed before teleporting a player. Redstone dust can no longer be placed in air blocks not suited for it using commands. Players can now be killed using the /kill when they have resistance effect 4 or higher. Fixed repeating damage sound and animation when using the / effect to get health and simultaneously taking damage. The screen no longer shakes when standing on magma blocks after applying regeneration effect of 255 or more. Banners placed with fill command are no longer random in colors on realms. Teleporting entities to or from a ticking area no longer fail to render or be interacted with. Players will no longer receive an unknown map when using /replace item command to place a map in the offhand slot. Items will now be received immediately when using the give command. And there you go. I'm not even going to go in it. Read it if you want to read it. Don't read it. Let's go back to the game. And whoo, super long. And there we are, guys. Holy cow, I am literally out of breath. I cannot read anymore, but thanks a lot for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I thought it was super cool, and now we know a whole bunch of fixes. Let's start messing with this stuff. Don't forget, guys, they come out at different times throughout the day for the different versions, but you should get it soon. And yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.